Have you ever heard someone say, I love you. You matter to me. I'm glad you're in my life. And instead of simply believing them, you started looking for a reason not to. Maybe you thought, they're just being polite. They don't really mean it. If they knew the real me, they'd change their mind. And the strange thing is, the more love someone gives you, the harder it becomes to accept it. From the outside, that doesn't make much sense. If someone is starving for love, shouldn't they be happy when they finally receive it? But the human mind is more complicated than that, because often the problem isn't love. The problem is how you see yourself. Imagine a person who spends years looking into a distorted mirror. Every day, every month, every year. Eventually, they stop noticing the distortion. They begin to believe that's what they really look like. And if someone suddenly places a clear mirror in front of them, they'll probably doubt the new mirror before they doubt their old beliefs. Self-worth works the same way. If you spent years hearing criticism, if you were constantly compared to others, if approval had to be earned, if love felt conditional, then over time, a belief begins to grow inside you. Something is wrong with me. And once that belief settles in, it starts affecting everything: your relationships, your friendships, your work, and most importantly, the way you see yourself. That's why when someone says, you're a good person, your mind replies, no, you just don't know me well enough. When someone gives you a compliment, you search for an explanation. When someone cares about you, you wonder what they want in return. When someone loves you, you start waiting for the day they stop, not because you want to think that way, but because your brain is trying to protect a version of reality that already feels familiar. If deep down you believe you're difficult to love, then love itself starts feeling suspicious. There's something fascinating about human psychology. Most people don't argue with their insecurities. They argue with their strengths. If someone tells you, you're not good enough, part of you may believe it immediately. But if someone says, you're amazing, you start collecting evidence against it. You remember your mistakes, your failures, your regrets, everything that supports the story you've already been telling yourself. Why? Because the brain loves consistency. Even painful beliefs can feel safer than unfamiliar ones. And sometimes, self-acceptance feels unfamiliar. Think about the people you love. Really think about them. Do you love them because they're perfect? Because they never make mistakes? Because they always say the right thing? Probably not. You love them as whole people, with flaws, with insecurities, with weaknesses, with imperfections, and somehow, those imperfections don't stop you from caring about them. Yet when it comes to yourself, you use completely different standards. You expect perfection. You expect proof. You expect yourself to earn the right to be loved before you'll allow yourself to believe that you already are. But love rarely works that way. People don't choose each other because they're flawless. They choose each other because of how they feel together, because of kindness, because of comfort, because of trust, because of the little things that can't be measured. Sometimes people love things about you that you've never even noticed. The way you make them laugh, the way you listen, the way you remember small details, the way you make them feel safe. Things that seem ordinary to you can mean everything to someone else. Maybe right now, there is someone in your life who values you far more than you realize, but their view of you collides with your own. And when those two views don't match, You trust yours, not theirs, because you've been listening to your inner voice much longer, even if that voice isn't telling the truth. The fact that you don't see your value doesn't mean it isn't there. The fact that you struggle to believe you're lovable doesn't mean you aren't loved. And the fact that you can't always see yourself clearly doesn't mean other people can't. Sometimes the problem isn't that nobody loves you. Sometimes the problem is that you're still looking at yourself through the eyes of old fears, old wounds, old stories, stories that were never meant to define you forever. And maybe the goal isn't to make people love you more. Maybe the goal is to slowly start believing them when they already do, because the hardest person you'll ever need to trust might be yourself. And once you learn to see yourself a little more clearly, you may realize that you've been loved far more than you thought all along.